Alrighty, hello and welcome to my channel. This is a short update on the latest with my practice board. As you can see over here, there's still things need to be dealt with in the space where the layout will eventually be, but this was, up until very recently, filled with racks like this here to my left. There were 3 more of these in here that went from here down to the window, and they've been moved out, and so I'm slowly getting my studio space. But in the meantime, I have this practice board I've shown in previous posts that I'm using to learn and practice techniques for laying track and weathering the track, ballast, and a little bit of scenery. As you can see here, this is a 1x2 board on which is about a 2 inch thick by 1 foot by 2 foot foam insulation, and that's very likely what's going to be on the layout when I get to that point. I haven't decided if I'm going to do this or just cork all over the place. Another YouTube channel I watch regularly, I think that's what he uses on the surface of his, is cork under everything. But because I want to do some subsurface cutting to create drainage ditches, which I've done here, I very likely will just stick with the Homosote insulation that you see. For this, I'm doing very simple roads on either side here. Over here in the distance is a mock-up of a warehouse type structure, generic warehouse structure, that will be over here. The track next to it, as you can see, is mostly buried. That was part of the goal, and here I am knocking stuff over, derailing my boxcar. But the idea was to have an industrial track next to the warehouse that's pretty rough, pretty weathered, mostly buried. Here at the end is a pile of ballast based on something I saw in South Seattle on a spur track. There is also going to be a little sign, again based on the prototype I saw. Sticking up from that, it'll say end of track. Over here is supposed to be muddy, dirty, gritty, industrial type soil. Over here is going to be a little area with trees, bushes, that sort of thing, static grass. And again, this is all for practice, not based on any particular prototype. I'm just learning and putting into practice what I learned. So far, these are the results of the track. Here, this would be considered the main line through the area of this fictional 1x2 world. And then, of course, the siding, the structure that will be there eventually. Right now, this is just some basic 3/8 inch strips of balsa wood for support. I can't remember where this cardboard material came from some packaging. But again, I just wanted to mock up. It's approximately 25 to 26 scale feet in height, and almost 3 times that in length. What else? Yeah, so the soil here started out this color. It is Arizona Rock and Mineral, number 1090, Earth. And that's this, and what this started out as. I experimented by adding the same company, Arizona Rock and Mineral, Filthy Gray Industrial Dirt, which is this very light stuff over here that's mixed in. Wasn't happy with the initial results, so I was messing around with it, making some changes. Then I got, that's not it. I then added, sprinkle on some of this Arizona Rock and Mineral number 1160 Apache Stone. And that's kind of what you see. This lighter stuff in here is that. There's like 3 layers here. Over here it's 2 layers. A very, very, very small amount of that Apache stone I just mentioned sprinkled on. This side, however, I used a sifter. This is actually for tea, what I use for my tea when I'm infusing. And I thought, I want to try it, because over here it was sprinkled on with my fingers and spread around a little bit in that manner, and it's a bit thicker than this, where this was, I masked off the rail and the road over here with some tape. This happens to be gaff tape, which I use. I'm also an audio engineer and do live sound gigs, and you use a lot of this stuff to cover cables and other things. It acts like duct tape without the residue left behind. But I masked off the track here and the road area just so I could have a more even application. And let's see, yeah, I think I said that's 2 layers at the moment, very uniform in color. It, of course, when I'm done, will not look this uniform, but I wanted to practice that technique I saw in a book from Lance Mindheim about scenery for shelf layouts. I don't have the book in front of me. I don't remember the exact name of it. Somebody watching may be familiar with it. But in there he talks about using a sifter to spread the ground material more evenly. And let's see, initially I spread matte medium all around that area, a thin coat of it, then sprinkled on the earth colored pigment, sprayed it with alcohol and water, and then let it dry. Came back, still fairly loose, and I thought, okay, there you go. So I had a mixture of well, I sprayed it again with, first I put on more powder, then sprayed it with the alcohol water mix, and then put down the matte medium water mix to bond it, glue it down. And that's where that is at this moment. Over here I added some of that Apache Stone. Well, I first sifted on a light coat of the earth powder, and then even more sparse of the Apache Stone, and then glued it down with the matte medium mix. Let's see. As I mentioned, I'm going to have a drainage ditch. I've carved this out, very rough, but I'm going to be putting some something like cellular clay, sculpt mold, fast mash in there to shape the drainage ditch, and then around the edges on either side will be more of what I'm doing here, and static grass and bushes. Nothing terribly complex, just what you might see a typical drainage ditch alongside roads, industrial area with tracks and so forth and so on. Put a little styrene tube on either end for a drain pipe. That's about it. Further details, be probably a fence somewhere in here along there. The building itself will be weathered to look like it's been sitting there for 50 years or so, that sort of look. But I'm going to be detailing. I'm really wanting to do a lot of detail work to heighten the realism. Other than that, that's kind of where this sits at the moment. Pretty much all I've got to show as I work along on this until I can get my space put together or cleared out enough where I can start putting up framework for the layout and get that going. The road, before I forget, the road here is going to be done in the next few days. And I'll post videos about that. May even try my hand at just setting the camera up and doing the work and recording it and see what the result is and post that. Anyway, thank you for watching. I think this will be my longest video to point, about 12-13 minutes. As I always say, or I shouldn't say I always say, I've only just started doing this sort of thing. I do appreciate any comments, suggestions, ideas, advice, and so on. Any new model railroader hopefully likes that sort of thing. I know I do. So thank you, and have a great rest of your day.